Paddy Pimblett got the best win of his entire career against the best opponent he's ever faced. Bobby Green decided to come out in England, said he's going to beat their boy out just to come out there and shoot a takedown against a specialist on the ground and get choked to sleep within like a couple minutes. Probably the worst game plan or adjustment in a fight. No way that was the game plan. He made an adjustment mid-fight to shoot a single leg takedown after taking a leg kick on the inside of his, right? So inside leg kick from Paddy, got Bobby Green a bit off balance. Bobby Green followed up by grabbing onto the leg and trying to drive for the takedown, which ultimately got him put into a guillotine, a really deep guillotine, which Paddy transitioned into a triangle choke. Amazing transition from Paddy Pimblett right there. I mean, just goes to show you how good he is on the ground, and Bobby Green should not be taking him down ever. Even if he's losing the stand-up, never go to the ground with Paddy Pimblett because he's 10 times better on the ground than he is in the stand-up, and everybody knows that. But the transition from the guillotine into the triangle choke was so seamless, very quick, super slick stuff from Paddy Pimblett, and then attacked the arm after he put Bobby Green to sleep. Bobby Green was sleeping before Paddy Pimblett attacked the armbar. That's how strong that triangle choke was. And you can see that Bobby Green wanted to change the angle, right? So he was turning to his side a little bit or rotating around, trying to free some space on his neck so he can get out of it. But every single time he was rotating, Paddy would adjust his triangle. Just shows to be multiple steps ahead of Bobby Green when it comes to the grappling, which again shows that Bobby Green should not be shooting takedowns. He was way out of his element, and it's not the first time Bobby Green shot a takedown before. You know, he shot takedowns on Thiago Moises, another good grappler. He shot one takedown against Jim Miller in the third round after beating him up a bit. An old, out of his prime Jim Miller, right? It's not in prime, young Paddy Pimblett. So even though Bobby Green shot takedowns before against other good grapplers, it's not the same thing doing it in the first round before ever getting sweaty, right? Because the sweat and stuff is going to make it harder for Paddy to get some of these submissions. Bobby shot while he was dry, making it much easier for Paddy to snatch up the guillotine and the triangle choke on him. Now, to be fair, there is some leeway on Bobby Green's decision to shoot a takedown because he was kicked off balance and then just fought off instinct, because Bobby used to wrestle when he was younger, so maybe when he unexpectedly got kicked in the inside of his leg like that, he instinctively shot a single leg takedown. And once the guillotine was in, I'm pretty sure he knew that he made a huge mistake on grappling with Paddy, because before the entire grappling sequence, Paddy was actually winning the stand-up a bit. He was kicking at the legs a lot. Bobby Green wasn't checking any of the leg kicks, even though Paddy Pimblett is known in the stand-up to throw mostly kicks, right? He's more of a kicker than he is a puncher. But a lot of the highlights that you see is of Paddy just swinging haymakers and blitzing combinations. But when you actually watch his fights, he's throwing a lot more kicks than he is punches. And Paddy understood. He doesn't want to box with Bobby Green like that, right? He fought intelligently. He knew to stick to his own strengths, kick at a distance. He's the bigger and longer guy, surprisingly much bigger too. I mean, Paddy, I think he used to fight at featherweight at one point, but he was much bigger than Bobby Green was. His back was wide, all muscle. There may be a method to his madness on gaining all of that weight from eating food, but he stuck to his strengths, you know, kicking from distance and waiting for Bobby Green to make a mistake by shooting a takedown or try to scramble to the ground in some kind of way. But Bobby tried to throw some punches out there from distance. None of them were really landing because he wasn't measuring good enough. The kicks from Paddy Pimblett were taking over a bit of the distance management of the entire fight, right? Paddy was the one that was dictating the distance out of the two, when Bobby Green is usually the one that likes to do that, or he should want to do that, especially against someone like Paddy. So at the end of the day, Paddy fought intelligent. He fought by his game plan. He didn't detour away from it. Bobby Green did the opposite. He had a game plan, most likely revolve around boxing, which is his strong suit. And then after taking a bunch of kicks, he kind of deviated away from his game plan, made a wrong kind of adjustment to his style, and decided to grapple with the specialist on the ground, and ultimately losing the fight very, very quickly. If these guys ever grapple with each other in any kind of sport, whether it's MMA, whether it's an actual grappling match or whatever, Paddy is going to beat Bobby Green, right? If there's any kind of submissions involved, Paddy is going to beat Green. And everybody knew that. Apparently not Bobby Green, though. I can only imagine Bobby's coaches after that just thinking, man, a veteran, an experienced fighter who's been fighting the best fighters in the lightweight division for many, many years, to make a mistake like that is kind of crazy, right? Usually the veterans don't make those kind of mistakes. It's the younger guys that make those kind of mistakes. But just goes to show you that Paddy Pimblett is a more intelligent fighter than Bobby Green is. Even though he doesn't have even half of the experience of Bobby, he definitely showed to be like twice as smart. So great win for Paddy Pimblett. He called out Renato Moicano, which I think stylistically is an excellent matchup. Both guys are great grapplers. They got some striking to them. I would say Renato Moicano is more technical in the stand-up. He's also tall and long, so he's not going to be outsized that much by Paddy the way Bobby Green was. When Paddy's throwing kicks from distance, Renato is going to be able to also match that a bit because he's a good kicker himself. But where Renato Moicano has a bit of the technique on his side, Paddy Pimblett has more power. While both fighters being excellent on the ground, I would say that Renato is a better controlling grappler, whereas Paddy is a better submission artist. So that will match up very, very well. And as for Bobby Green, I mean, just retire, bro. Like, you shot a takedown on Paddy. Age hits every single fighter, and it seems to have damaged a bit of Bobby Green's game planning or focus on a fight or something. He's been fighting for a very long time, to be fair. You know, he's gonna have hiccups along the way. But I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown, and if you did, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.